two sets of minutes in our agenda to deal with. Minutes of April 4th and March 7th. I did put copies in here, but I think you all got copies as well to read ahead of time. Any discussion, questions on the minutes for April 4th, which should be page 2. Oh no, those are March 7th. Let's start with March 7th. Any errors, omissions, additions, or corrections? Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And on page, somewhere down the line here, would be,
5.
page 5 would be the April 4th minutes, which I can't vote on. Let's see, I guess everybody else can.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Errors, omissions, additions, or corrections? Thank you, Jen, for the 13 pages.
That was a long meeting.
I think I'm glad I wasn't here. But it's a good record of the meeting, so. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
And I abstain, I wasn't here. Okay, Tracy has some end of year transfers for us. Slide that down, Marshall. And let's move into end of year transfers.
Sure. The first one I have for the committee to consider is by request of the town clerk. We have an election next week, and based on the projected amount that she anticipates spending, she thinks we could be up to $600 short. So we're asking for a $600 year-end transfer. This would require approval of the finance committee and then would go to the board of selectmen for their approval as well. With the changes in the legislation, we can now, usually we don't do these until June, but now we can start them as soon as May 1st.
Election next week?
Yes,
Yes.
Tuesday, May 9th.
Tuesday the 9th.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right, too.
Larry, wait a minute.
That was April.
Who's lost?
Feels like
Who's
April.
lost? Okay, the $600 transfer is coming from Essex Regional Retirement, right?
Mhm.
And it's going to elections, $600. Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Second, Marshall, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous vote. Okay, and I have to, let's see, member president voting 2, 4, 6. 6, 0, 0. We have another one coming?
Yep, the next request is coming from the treasurer's office. It's a request for $2,500 to be transferred into the FICA expense account. That is a percentage of wages paid. We do pretty well in our estimates. Every couple of years, we may come looking for a transfer. It depends, fire calls, the number of projected wages in those accounts fluctuates somewhat. So we're asking, that's projected out through June 30th.
And it's just the FICA.
Just the FICA piece, yeah.
The rest of it is all covered already?
The rest of,
Whatever FICA is a direct result of wages paid, right?
right, the
So
wages are appropriated in the line items, but we didn't appropriate enough in FICA.
Just in FICA.
Yep.
Okay, the amount is $2,500 from Essex Regional Retirement to FICA expense. Motion? Do we already have one?
No.
Need
So
a
moved.
motion? Marshall, second?
Second.
Any discussion?
May I ask a question, just for my own, why are they coming from the Essex Regional Retirement?
Because there's a balance there, I assume.
There is money left over in that account. We were allowed a prepayment discount.
Yeah.
We got a percentage reduction by paying it all at once. So we realized about a $19,000
Yeah.
savings, I think it
Little
was.
bit.
Yeah, so it's,
That's the one that when you look at it in the line item,
It
it's
was
all
early on,
paid-
yeah, I remember
It's
that.
always way back in July or August.
right, right.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's 6.
Okay, we have a request from the finance committee for $500. That's for mailing of the booklets. We did include the expenditures in the fiscal year 18 operating budget, but we're gonna be a little short as a result of it this year.
Based on the questions at town meeting, no more booklets.
But we did talk briefly about it already, but
No,
we
we're kidding.
I know, actually, but, yeah.
One of the suggestions I heard in conversation past week was, we do a town line-by-line presentation. I think we should look at maybe doing it by categories, public safety, highway department.
That's what Salisbury does.
Rather than going to line by line, we may wanna summarize them, and there'll be holes on that.
Yeah,
But
but
the
still.
idea is that to go,
Yeah.
the moderator has to go through every single line, and it gets relatively monotonous, as you may well know.
And, you know, it's on the agenda to discuss it, but we might as well briefly. There's 2 or 3 things that we can do to expedite that. But I think that gentleman, Mr. Thurlow, I mean, he's been to more town meetings than I've been to and kind of knows what those items are. But I think where there's an increase especially of significance, there should be some, you know, and we
Yeah,
could
we can
include
add.
that. Well, it'd be easier to do it if we do it by category, because then you don't have to have, you know,
I
we
think
can
the
talk
net,
about it.
net result is that of all the objections that he was looking for information, all were approved.
Yes.
It just was very monotonous
Right.
and tedious to go through the line by line.
Right.
Well, that's.
Anyway, $500 the finance committee wants. I don't see any signature from the finance committee requesting this. No, just kidding. All right, from Essex Regional Retirement to finance committee expense. Motion?
Motion.
Motion, second. Okay, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We're requesting $100 for the moderator's salary account. We did have 3 meetings this year. We generally pay, we've budgeted to pay $100 per meeting for fiscal year 2017, but we did have 3 meetings instead of the normal 2.
He almost got 500,000.
Almost, it was close.
That was a good way to start. Actually,
was.
it was a very good way to
It
start.
got everyone awake. Are you paying attention?
Okay, this is just the $100 moderator salaries from
Move
the
to
same
approve.
account. Marshall, second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
We have a request for $1,800 for the postage account, and that also is a direct result of the mailing.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion,
Did
all in
vote?
favor?
No.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, no, she's got more.
No, one last one.
She's shopping for me.
Yeah.
Okay, this is $600 for the selectmen's expenses, and I'm just looking at their, primarily, they had some Verizon wireless expenses. We now have 5 of them using their, iPads. They weren't all taking advantage of it, but they all are now, so there was a little bit of an increase there.
Okay. We have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. $600 to, it's from the same account, Essex Regional Retirement to Selectmen's expense. $600. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Can you update us on what the reserve account is right now? We had that question. What
These
were-
aren't reserved, but it's the same. it
Oh,
would be-
transfer, I'm sorry, you're
These
right.
are just
Yeah.
Oh,
transfers.
that's transfer.
Yeah.
We've got a balance of,
65,000?
$65,830.
I'm sorry.
Good question. Okay. Third quarter financials, I did kill another tree. I sent these out a while ago, they're on page 11, if anybody, I don't know if anybody had any questions
At this point, anything that looks like it's gonna be running over, just.
Just in
We
there.
would know.
Yeah.
There you go. And the dad's right there.
I have one on, just kind of a general question on the revenues. Where was it?
Last page.
Yeah, page 15, I guess. The total shows are running ahead, right, of last year. Motor vehicle, is that just time of year? Or is it, are people buying, I don't know, it
As
just.
far as why are we ahead? I mean, why are we behind?
Yeah,
We-
it's not a lot, but it's,
The big commitment for motor vehicle goes out in February, so it's already been issued.
yeah, so we've gotten mostly what we're getting.
So we've gotten
So that-
primarily everything we're gonna collect.
That could be done.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anybody else have any other questions on financials, third quarter? Frank, by the way, did y'all get his email?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's-
Other town or something.
Well, he's got a big Princeton alumni.
Fun.
Yeah.
Top school in the country.
Could we, would you send a note to Fred Thurl, please make sure he knows that Frank's been excused from.
It wasn't Thurlow.
Yeah, it was.
It was Moran.
Yes,
Yeah, he was the one asking about the votes and how many people voted and all.
Oh, I thought it was Fred.
No, on that one.
It's Jim.
That is Moran.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Why people
But
hire us for
one of the things that bugs me about that is
We're recording, yeah.
that people don't understand that if you have, when you do the ethics
Yeah.
thing, if you have some connection with it, you could abstain.
Yeah.
You can't vote, and the average citizen, I don't think understands that, you know,
That wasn't, I don't think that was really the concern.
no,
It was
I
just a point
know,
of
but,
everybody there for the meeting, you know.
yeah.
So,
Well, and we have meetings every week
Right.
during
I
budget
know.
season. At some point, we're all gonna hit a point where we're not gonna be here for one of those.
Please, let me out.
We're doing our best here.
Words, okay, so
Yep.
we're doing it. Anything else about town meeting debriefing wise? Comments?
I got comments from a couple of people about the line items, and if we, in the booklet, or not in the booklet, but on a website, had everything and then the line items, because we had all that information in the minutes.
Yes.
We could have just cut and
Right.
pasted something together, so that if people wanted them, we could either have them on the website, or we could email them out if they subscribe to a few paper copies, but then we shortchanged that because we have everything that, why are we doing this? What does this mean? I mean, it's a chore, but it's probably a worthwhile chore, and it memorializes that in the record.
And like you said, we already have that documentation, so I
Right.
can take it from the budget document and include, it would probably be, you know, maybe one more page if we did
Yeah.
both sides into the document, if you wanted to. But to Larry's point
Yeah.
with the categories, it was
I was gonna say-
interesting when we were at the Triton meeting, hearing that Salisbury did it differently. But I've also had a request for the opposite, wanting to list out every single category in the expense, like, so for example, expenses, you'd have, instead of that one line for expenses, you'd have
25
advertising,
lines.
maintenance, training,
So
paper, you know.
But-
And then, I mean,
But they don't understand.
More
how much
detail.
It
Yeah.
takes,
More
how much
detail
time
than
it
that.
takes, and how many pieces of paper it would take.
Well, one of the comments I was is that we have now moved the town meeting up, and thus we have compressed the time
Yeah.
that the budgets are in and for us to discuss. I felt a little bit concerned that some of the questions for information were somewhat valid, but I didn't really even know the answer myself into some, because I think we've gotten compressed. And I was wondering if we could kind of look at that calendar event so that, I know that the budgets were, you know, and the booklets handed out to us was a mid-March type.
It's the same time,
Yeah.
even though it's been pushed back, you got
Yeah.
them the same time you
Yeah, but I mean, without,
consistently
but
have, yeah.
that seems to be the crunch time for when do we get it, how much time do we have with it, to when we have to vote on it. It was really, to me, like, whoa, it was right
it
there.
was compressed, no question.
And I know that the only answer to that is that, you know, is is to kind of look at the backing it up, saying, okay, the budgets used to have them by January, something of that nature, requests in. You know, whether you move that back a little bit to December or something, or whatever, so we can get a few more weeks of budget information, discussion, and that's my concern.
And the discussions, line by line discussions, would be are televised now.
Yep,
People could
Yep.
access
yep.
Yep.
the line, you know, the
Oh, yeah,
meetings.
but
I
I think
mean,
it's-
I'm just adding, you know, I
Right.
think we have to throw out ideas at the moment, and then maybe
Yeah.
in September, sit down and say, okay, what do we wanna do?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that the.
I think that's a good idea though, putting it so that if we discuss a particular line item and everything that's in that item, then maybe people will understand how we all think.
I'm opposed to breaking it down
Oh, yeah,
any more
you
than
don't
we
want
are.
that.
I-
No,
I-
no,
I-
they won't.
Actually,
That'd be
I
good at
would
midnight.
support consolidating.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking more along the lines of consolidating and then almost like the way that your budget book is a great overview to all of us. That is similar, you know, the highlights and where the increases are and bulleted
Put
like
that,
that,
yep.
and that sort of
Yep.
like a cover letter with
Like
that.
Marshall's suggestion.
Just that, I think
like
that that would be an effective way to help alleviate. And I guess, I don't know if there's a way that ahead of time to basically, I know our meeting agendas are posted, but some way of saying, you know, there'll be a line by line discussion of the budget this evening. Things like that, just that, I mean, we're putting it out
The
there.
meetings are online, are they not?
Yes,
They are, yeah,
So
they're
we
online.
You
could
could
put a
direct
link
them. Yeah.
in that mailing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
when,
true.
yeah, that there's.
One thing we have to
That's a good idea.
remember too, I think is important, is that the line by line discussion is what we're charged with doing.
Right,
That's part of
that's
our
what we do, yeah.
responsibility to represent town meeting in the discussion and the detail and everything else. If you, that's to expedite town meeting,
Right,
really.
right.
And and where there's questions or issues, you deal with them. And so I think the summary, personally, I think summarizing, I don't know, by department or by however the categories are,
Mm.
and then you can write a rationale that covers what,
Yeah.
And
instead of
also-
writing 100 rationales, you summarize it for
The department or
I
the
don't know, I don't
function
know.
or how
whatever.
it.
Yeah, we could
Whatever
discuss
the group
that.
is.
Yeah, the bucket, what
And
the
like-
buckets are,
If we discuss, I'd be happy to work on taking some of the language
Yeah.
from that and condensing it to.
yeah.
Paul's
Big-
freed up. His,
I
his-
might, yeah.
he's
I
got some
can make it in
time.
these meetings
Paul
without
is-
babysitting
Paul's-
now, so life is.
Why?
And Paul's
my wife's
a
job
writer.
is
Did you have any
switched.
kids?
They're gone. No, my wife got a new job, so like I can actually.
Nice.
Paul's a writer, he's an English major.
Oh,
Yeah, I'd be happy to
So
play with some of that.
That'd be
Paul's
great.
volunteered to kind of help,
Super.
you know.
Well, I was also gonna say, I know I wasn't at the meeting last week, but I've heard enough of the digest and have a 3-hour hair appointment tomorrow to watch it.
We'll fall
But-
asleep. No, maybe not.
Probably.
But last year, I'll go back and look, I don't think we had any holds on the line item budget last year. So we have a couple, but they were very, very few, so it's I would worry about over-engineering a solution for something that hasn't happened like the last 2 years. If you
No.
go back, it's, this sounds like there's
was
a
the
bee in a
result-
bonnet somewhere.
No, it was a result of the booklet.
Yeah, because we put so much.
One result of the
the
booklet.
booklet?
They had it well in advance, and the individual put all the holes on, just went down and looked at every line item they would not seen prior to arriving at town meeting,
Yeah.
which was a benefit,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
caused us a result
Yeah.
to be, and most of the questions weren't inappropriate.
No.
They were appropriate questions, but they were information, why is this
Yeah.
war?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what caused me to, some of the stuff, I couldn't really pinpoint either, but it was the fact, I think we were compressed with such a short period of time as well.
26 holds, no amendments.
Right.
So,
Right.
there was
People were
information.
satisfied with the answers that they received,
Right,
so.
but if we get the answers out there ahead of time.
First.
Maybe there's
Then-
two holds. Yeah.
Maybe there
Well,
would be
maybe,
any.
well, two things, maybe there's two holes, but two, we get to be more transparent as the people are putting out the finances.
Yep.
And a lot of people, I talked to a lot of people over the past couple of weeks who have said, oh yeah, I came and I didn't like this, but I wasn't gonna say anything, or I didn't understand this and I didn't wanna say anything about it, or I said something once and the people made fun of me, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are interested and wanna know, but they're not gonna get up in front of all of those people.
No,
We have
that
to
you're right.
continue to remember that our understanding in terms of terminology and everything else, as much as we have over the years put out definitions and everything else, oftentimes there's several new faces at the town meeting.
That one woman stood up and asked about the or any other sum question.
Right,
I was actually wondering, in addition to this, if we're putting on our website, if some some explanation might be given for that.
For what?
But we've explained that
For
before.
what? I know, but see, she's new.
Or
Yeah,
any
so
other,
she
and
asks-
any others, you know,
Oh,
X
yeah.
dollars
Yeah.
and
See,
any
those are
other
things
sum.
like that, that even
Meaning
we
that you
sometimes
could go
know,
up
what
to
do
the
we-
sky.
what do we
well,
do
they're
there?
reading the language in the
In the
article
article.
and they're not hearing the motion, because
The
the motion
motion
is
is
different,
different.
it specifically
Right.
dictates the dollar amount,
Somehow
it
we
doesn't
could
say
put
or
it
any other sum.
Explanatory maybe. in
Yeah,
the
that would be easy enough to.
It's very,
Later explanation.
I didn't understand it
Do a
at first.
model, put it up there.
Yeah, this is what a warrant looks
The
like, this is
article
what
and the
the
motion.
It
What-
can only
what
be
do
this
they-
much or less.
Yeah.
But sometimes the verbiage is kind of
Arcane.
convoluted.
To be nice.
I had
Yes.
another thought and I lost it.
Don't
That
worry,
never
it'll
happens.
fly
It'll
around
come
here, it'll
back.
come back to you.
From the
Relative
statute,
to
yeah.
the whole town meeting. But anyway, I think if we devote maybe September, November, whenever, September, October, September, because we'll probably wanna do one for the special town if we have, which is much easier because you don't have the line items.
Right.
But we could maybe, keep our right ears.
But maybe
We'll
just
have them
fix
in
the
it.
lighting
This year was
stuff.
pretty much occupied with the police station
Yes, it
activities
was.
and the
Yeah.
budget, and it took a lot of our detailed time.
Yeah.
And then the budget came in, and with a short period of time, we were compressed.
Yeah.
I think maybe you're absolutely right, come out of September, kind of reevaluate, the process and then go at it again. Because I think one of the questions you asked that I didn't really focus in on is what individual in finance committee member would be responsible for redressing a particular category.
Yeah.
We kind of didn't do that, and as a result, we were freelancing a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which
We
was,
had done that
was okay.
before.
I know.
I've signed every one.
And
Certain
there were,
categories.
but we rarely assigned the line items. And that's where all the
Right.
questions were.
Right.
The articles were, I think, pretty self-explanatory with the rationale, so I don't think we had to address any of them.
No, we didn't.
It was all in the warrant article, all in the articles,
Line
the
item,
article,
yeah.
line items, so.
But maybe we should have like a little dictionary on the website that says,
There is one.
this is,
There is one.
but it says, and any other sum means this, or.
It's not intuitive to where you find it, but we
Find
do
it.
have a thing about how government, how town meeting works, how the warrant, all of that's on the website.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not,
It's
it's not easy to find, and you have to know, you don't, if
Now I'm
you-
gonna
you-
go look for it.
But yeah, I have definitely found it, because I know that I've had trouble sometimes finding the YouTube channel links if I go through the website, like I can't quite find, it's just not intuitive to me, like I can't go in and say like boards and committees and see like the channel and how to find their meetings, like board of selectmen meetings or town meeting,
The
like where those
website
are.
works the way the person.
Archive meetings.
Okay, so yeah, so that's where it's, and then I figured out that that was where I was trying to like see last week, like whether or not the town meeting was up there yet or not, so, because
It
I'm
is
the only
really-
person that wants to watch it.
Okay.
We would
Anything else related to
We
town
drove home
meetings?
from New Jersey in
No,
that
but-
rain,
It ran well.
took
Yeah,
5
well,
hours.
I thought the moderator did a very good job,
This, I think, is what
you know.
And I
Really?
think our sound system sort of gets better every time they get a little better with it.
Yeah.
It's really.
We had an issue with the sound of the rain on the roof. It was a little noisy.
You can't do it.
No, there was not, no.
My understanding too is that, decision's been made not to purchase the, automated voting. Is that-
clicker?
Well, we were never gonna purchase
Or
them.
release.
We had talked about leasing
Okay.
them. I thought we were going to have them. I was
Okay.
surprised when they weren't there.
Oh, okay.
So I'll have to follow up with the town clerk and find out
I
why.
have a friend who's a Rockport selectman, and they would like them, but they can't afford to have them, and I said, well, maybe if 3 or 4 towns got together and bought them and
You could move
did
them
their,
around.
you could move them around, so
Since
this
town
time.
meetings probably are all the same.
Yeah.
No, but make sure the town meetings are all different nights,
It
and
does.
you could swap
It
them
would- it
around.
expedites, although we didn't even have any standing votes.
No,
So,
no.
that was, but if you have a meeting that's, there's an issue, especially.
Yeah.
Well, we've had
We have
different
lots of
complaints
issues.
about whether or not the county was accurate. People sometimes feel like they can't vote because they would rather have some anonymity in their vote, and so we're trying to come up with alternative ways to, encourage everyone to participate.
Feel badly for the way that gentleman who came to the meeting was treated so I can imagine.
Yes,
If he had
the
been
guy
asked to
who
come
had
back.
the little devices.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah,
I thought
when
they were
everyone-
slick, I thought they were great.
Yeah, but the people that were yelling
Yeah.
from the town
Yeah.
meeting to just sit down and we're not gonna use them, so why bother doing it at the
It was
last?
interesting to see.
It was
Yeah.
very,
I
That
thought
was
it was
rude.
interesting.
I thought that was rude, I thought that was completely,
Their mothers would not be happy.
All right. Any other business?
Yeah, we had an initial meeting of the Triton lease agreements, ownership of the school last week. And it was a very productive, very interesting meeting at Salisbury, Newbury. I was with Tracy and Riley were present. My takeaways were essentially as follows, that Triton is trying to find a mechanism of defining what is operational cost and capital cost, and trying to make the first step in that process. Is it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong in this, that Salisbury's school, elementary school, was built, constructed with Triton being the principal of
Yes.
that building.
Yes.
And that is coming up to its 20-year anniversary in 4 years.
Yeah.
So nothing can be done between now and 4 years from now. Because until the ownership is, the loan is released,
Yeah.
then there can be no transfer from either Triton back to Salisbury, so on. The feeling is that, we thought maybe going in that we'd transfer our asset to Triton. That's a near impossibility as we speak.
Right now.
No, now and in the future, because Rowley will be in the same position
Oh.
as they go with Pine Grove
Ah,
School of
right,
incorporating a
right.
tremendous amount.
That would have been the
Yeah.
simplest.
Yes, and we asked the question, could Triton step to the plate and be the financier of the day for Rowley? And the answer was, it's gone too far
It's too
down the process to take Rowley's name off all the paperwork.
So Rowley thinks they're gonna get better rates going along as opposed to having.
I don't care whether, I don't know whether they get better.
Rowley's not interested in transferring ownership of their
Oh,
own.
No, it makes
so
no difference, so.
it wouldn't even be in it, okay.
So the bottom line of this whole thing is that we will continue to have the same,
So we have to-
we'll own the middle school for our lifetimes, put it that way.
Triton,
elementary school.
Triton could defer, could sell it to Salisbury.
They could, but they won't. And Salisbury
Alright.
feels that they have got a relatively interesting business deal. Because of the
Well,
fact,
yeah, go ahead.
because of the fact that Triton owns it, in and all maintenance on that building is gonna be paid by Triton.
And we're
Complicates the
paying it.
lease agreement very much.
Well, not only that, but we pay 1/3 of those fees.
I know.
And so there was some discussion on it.
Yeah.
And we got a sense of Salisbury's position in this. They think that they're doing okay with that deal because they figure they're being put upon because of the very high cost of the annualized costs for Triton. And they're not gonna vote to do it because they think they're in great shape. We suggested at the time that, and we have done this in Newbury, as you know, is gone out and done a study on what is the physical condition of the building. Are there any surprises relative to outstanding near-term costs that could be effective on us? And that's what they're going to look at, and I think Tracy, said that she'd provide some of the rationale, what we did. So we'll get a study. We'll pay for 1/3 of the study, which is okay, but we will find out, is
A
there,
facility study.
yeah.
The building
Yeah, the
envelope
envelope
studies.
studies that we did in the library and
Yeah, but
in
this is gonna
Newbury.
be the whole.
All
Oh,
three,
yeah.
or all,
Would this be all three schools or
Just
just
Salis-
Salisbury?
Salisbury
Just
only.
Salisbury.
But
Why
this
not
is gonna be
Newbury?
in.
Because we already have it,
outside.
because
Yeah.
even if we
Right, it
found,
would have to be
if we
inside
find
too.
out that Newbury has some systemic problems with the roof, it's gonna be our cost no matter what.
Yeah, and
We've already done it.
yeah.
And Pines Grove School is going through
Yeah.
and what it is that, and so it came out to us, to me quite clearly, that the negotiating position in Salisbury is pretty adamant, they're not gonna wanna change,
Yeah.
because they figured, well, the other two towns will help us with the cost. We kind of felt that, we don't think that's fair, and I agree with it, but they wanted to negotiate the inclusion of the 5-year rolling average in the three-town agreement as kind of the quid pro quo.
We're now,
They're holding us a little hostage.
But the real issue for that, for you to understand, oh, you got a question?
oh, yeah, okay, right here, just one of them? Jen has another set of previous,
No, go right ahead.
all of them, or just that one? Okay, all right. thanks.
So the only mistake that, I don't say mistake, the only misconception that was taking place was that they were indeed only focusing on the 5-year rolling average for enrollments, not 5-year rolling average for total expenses.
But those are supposed to be two separate committees, they've got a committee working on
Right,
that.
right.
You're
Yeah.
Are you-
supposed to be just
oh,
Lisa's.
that was, did we?
There hasn't been any, yes, I haven't heard of any meetings.
But I think that the basis, you got a sense, I mentioned,
I did
I
too,
walked
yeah.
away from a negotiating position. But I think that what needs to be done, and a legal mind's better, there is some misunderstanding as to what is required in the voting mechanism to change the three-town agreements. And as we talk about this, because it was Salisbury's contention, well, it takes all 3 towns to change or to send back the middle school to Salisbury directly. All 3 towns got to vote on it and approve it. And I'm not sure that's true, because I know that the 3 towns must vote for the inclusion or exclusion of new players, but or disbanding the agreement. I don't know what it is. But I think there was there was this thing that I didn't understand. But my concern is that moving downstream, we can't tolerate we can pay for our own stuff, we're fine with that, but to have Salisbury saying, well, if we have a new roof for $1 million, it's gonna cost Newbury $330,000.
And that's in effect what's
And that's
going
what
to happen.
that's what and they're saying for 20 years they've had no cost. That's the rationale for the phase 1. Let's do a detailed study, see what, if any, our exposure is in the short term. Number 2, we're gonna have to have some understanding of what the negotiating positions are and whether this can be
What's
tolerated.
legally, the legal piece?
The thing that confused me when I left though was, I don't understand why Newbury can't execute a lease with Triton. Why, they seem to be indicating that all 3 towns had to be a part of this lease agreement and it had to go into the regional agreement. That wasn't the way it was executed at Pentucket, and I'm a little
Well, I think
confused
you're right
about
there.
that
We
from a
needed
legal
some legal-
perspective.
We need
Yeah.
legal.
Yeah.
But I think what it comes down to is that what this has brought up to me is the fact we better be very solid in who's negotiating for us, what our positions are, what's acceptable and unacceptable. And I think it needs to be eyes wide open, because right now, because of the financing favor done by Triton for Salisbury at the time, and we asked the question, how much money did Salisbury save? And of course, back in the late 1990s, they had no credit and would have paid a very exorbitant
That's right.
amount of money for the loan. They have benefited by that substantially through, I would suspect, significant capital. Now they're saying, well, no, you own the school, that's the way it is, you pay the maintenance, we don't, we're paying off the note. And, and I think that Triton was looking, I was surprised, looking to push all 3 schools back to the 3 towns. That was what they were wanting to do. And of course, Raleigh was fine because they're doing
They're
Pine
doing
Road.
it. We already
We
there.
already own it.
Salisbury won't do it.
No,
No.
why would they?
Or-
What incentive would they have?
Oh, the negotiating incentive that was brought out was this rolling average question, a 5-year rolling average on enrollments. And that is such an insignificant piece.
Yeah,
It's almost, so we may wanna.
My empathy for changing the doing away with going to a straight enrollment is sort of diminished.
Yeah.
Because of this. Because if they're gonna pull that,
Yeah, exactly.
We were kind of taken aback. I mean, it was a
it
strong
was-
it
position.
creates a different mindset for you guys in terms of, you
Exactly,
haven't had the
exactly,
discussion.
yeah,
The
yeah,
other
that
thing-
is,
It's also a red herring for costs, it's not.
It is.
Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
it is, but they want, but the other thing was, it came out of the meeting out of, oh, by the way, comment was, they've done a lot of research at all of the regional school systems in the area, and they came up with a wild card, Manchester Essex, in which Manchester Essex has redefined their equal valuation criterion for Essex and Manchester, thus changing the state formula and adopting a new one for their district, which is really, I think, the apple in the eye of the Triton folks. Maybe we can find a way of simulating a new state formula that will be changed around. And that was a surprise because, as you know, and I've been an advocate, this was what Triton, Salisbury and Raleigh demanded of us many years ago. And we paid a premium for it because they voted it that way. I think it was 2/3 majority. It wasn't, it wasn't 100%, which I think that, that's why I think we have to look carefully at, before we sign any documents, what is the voting criteria on these types of
Well,
things.
it's sort of the default, it's the default too, the formula, right? I'm pretty sure.
Well, no, it wasn't, prior to '06, there was a different formula.
It was, that's right.
It was a different formula that they objected strenuously to, because out of this, their contention, I was in the meeting, said that we were paying significantly less to Triton than we would have under the state formula.
It was straight per pupil back
It
then.
was per pupil, yeah.
Right, so they changed it.
Yeah, if you're a kid, you
and
pay
they-
less.
And they changed it, and they made it the state formula, it had to be the formula of choice for the agreement, which was approved, and that's what it is. Now, they don't like it because they're on the wrong side of it.
You have to go to
Sorry, I gotta
concert.
go, my kid's on stage.
Okay.
Already, so.
That's fine.
All right, good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'll watch the replay.
So I think that's the only, and it's valid, and I see their point, but I think it's a negotiating position. But what it did to me was, it brought forward a different position of need on their part, and simply saying, they're not gonna agree to anything that hurts them fiscally, and they think right now they're in a good shot.
I thought this was gonna be a very simple
I did too.
resolution.
I was taken aback
And now
in
you
the
got,
first
and
meeting.
the two complications, one is Rowley
Just
going
building
their
brand
own,
new.
which they haven't approved yet.
No,
They haven't had their
No.
vote.
No, not yet.
Oh, right,
No.
next week, right?
think so.
Tonight or next week?
Tonight.
I think tonight, there's a town meeting.
Well, town meeting, and then they have to have.
Yep, they have to have
Like the
the,
overall
they haven't had
election.
the election yet.
Election. But anyway, you got, I think it's simple solution, Triton, get them all,
Right, me too.
end of story. But
That wasn't Triton's position. They took the opposite spirit from the get-go, was they wanted to transfer all three back to each individual town. That was and now, as I said.
I wouldn't have if I was in their position.
No, I would have taken them all.
Well, but then.
That's the, then you control it.
Evidently, I don't know, but I guess as long as Rowley, if they do incur a substantial loan, can't transfer the ownership to Triton
Till
until
the
they pay
loan's
the
paid.
loan.
Yeah, so that's not gonna be our issue.
50 years from now, I don't think we'll be around. Maybe he will,
And also, the fact is that nor can the middle school be transferred back to Salisbury until 4 years from
The middle school.
Elementary.
now. The elementary school.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Nor can that building be transferred back for 4
Right.
years.
Yeah.
So all we really need to be eyes wide open is, do we have any major problems
Yeah.
in the next 4 years that will cost us some capital?
I mean, if you, it would seem to me that you might be able to negotiate a way of, I'm not quite sure how, but certain capital costs are passed through just the way it is now.
The district pays
Oh,
all
I know.
of their costs.
I'm talking as part of the negotiation process, but they're not-
Oh, yeah, no, they've made it
What
pretty clear.
occurs
They're
right
not
now is the only cost item.
because Rowley would be in the same, will be in the same position we're in.
Yes.
Right, right,
And Rowley's paying for Salisbury, just like we are.
exactly.
Well, what we're paying right now, to be fair, is just the insurance.
I know.
And that's insignificant.
Right, I know.
Of insignificant
But
amounts of money, and as a
it's
result.
20 years old.
But
When
now
are
it's
they gonna
when
need
they're
a new
gonna start
roof?
having their
A
expenses,
new
yeah,
roof, when?
yeah.
5
Well,
years,
that's
10
that's
years?
why they agreed, and we agreed to do the study. We
Yeah.
wanted to get, because,
Yeah.
it
You
was
need to
like-
know what you're
the
talking about.
superintendent started off by saying the building's in great shape, it's got this kind of roof and this pitch and this and that. All non-professional assessment of the quality of the building. Saying, well, it doesn't have this problem, it doesn't have a problem, and, this looks good. I don't know what it is right now. So I said, let's, and we will incur in cost, and it's not that big of money, but we need to know.
Could be 50 grand or something. feasibility study.
Well,
By a competent engineering and architectural firm or somebody like Gale.
And also,
I think we're gonna use Door and, what do you?
also, there was another comment made at the same time that they want to include the Triton campus in this.
Yeah, they're
assessment
gonna
as
start
well.
doing their capital plan for the
Oh, sure, they
middle
should.
and high
They
school,
need
which
to.
is great.
But so they will therefore, this study will do
Oh, both.
Sites.
both sites, the
Yeah.
campus in Triton and the building in Salisbury.
Are we satisfied with what we got from our study on Newbury Elementary?
Mhm.
In terms
That was
of,
good.
it's, yeah, okay, I mean, that was 2 years ago?
Yep,
Yeah, more than that.
nah, 3 years ago, I
3
think.
years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Who did that, do you remember?
yeah, wasn't CSS, right?
No,
Was it?
no, not the
No.
architects. The-
Okay, it doesn't matter, I just.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
I've got it in the file.
Yeah,
we
I
have
do
to-
too.
But I think we should update the selectmen on this situation too, because they were in conversation suggesting that we should diverse the ownership of the round school to the Triton
Yeah.
enterprise, and it's not, and maybe by way of just, it can't be done for the next 4 years, and that's and not make a big open meeting discussion of.
Just,
Well, Salisbury can't be given back in the next 4 years, but there's nothing to prohibit us from giving Newbury to the district.
True, that's true, they may
But
be
they don't
negotiating.
No.
They don't want it.
Of course they don't.
But I don't think, but see, that would be an
well,
interesting question.
then Raleigh would be paying for Newbury and Salisbury.
Exactly.
And I think the vote would go 2-1 against.
Yeah, I would say so.
Very good.
Majority rules, though, right?
We would see no progress on that front. Except we may want to build a new school. You know.
Larry, that's helpful. I'm somewhat blown away by where this has ended up, because I thought it would be a simple little, boom, boom, boom. Salisbury was ready, to pay off theirs. I didn't realize there was still 4 years left.
Yeah.
But also
I
the
thought it was
thing
only a couple.
came across was that the embedded nature of self-protection and
Oh, yeah.
cost. And I think that's why this new financing agreement program is a very volatile position.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should have a process of understanding where it is
Yeah.
from a FinCom perspective to weigh in on it and be aware of it before it gets to the, oh, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, you got, so, anyway. No, that may be someone else's problem. We gotta keep whoever comes along behind us abreast of what's going on.
Transition team.
Transition team. All right. Very good.
June 6th.
You wanna go too, right, to the, okay. June 6th, I think, we probably will have some year-end stuff there, or we
Yeah.
some more, and then we final one. Then probably in July, we'll move the meeting towards the second week or not, is that?
Yeah, because we usually need action from the FinCom around the 15th, right
They
before
have-
the 15th.
So,
Yeah, that'll be fine.
and,
That will be at 7 o'clock next week, next time?
I would say so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Question about the conflict of interest.
Oh, yes,
Would that be the same that I'm doing at school?
Yep,
yes,
And
yes.
it counts.
okay, so I'll send the certificate over to you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a reminder. You can just run through it, if you make a mistake, it helps you correct it, and you correct it
Yeah,
and keep
really.
going.
I agree.
Some of it,
I did
I
it.
was trying to do it
Took an hour.
fast,
It took
and
an
some of
hour.
this is,
Yeah.
we should turn that off, we're done. We done?
Make the motion to adjourn?
Second.
All there?
Aye.
Aye.